We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our men.
Since the dawn of man, we have looked towards the stars to find answers to questions about our place in the universe. Exploring the cosmos seems like a natural progression in the evolution of mankind. But the awe and wonder of space travel can make it easy to forget that humans are not really meant to be in space. Ad Astra is not a movie about space exploration. If anything, it argues against it. This is a film about one man's personal odyssey, a look into his inner psyche and how it changes throughout the film. It's the tree of life set in space, where we travel into the heart of darkness and discover things about what it means to be human. Ad Astra shows us the psychological side of spaceflight that is not talked about enough. Buzz Aldrin very publicly dealt with problems of depression and alcohol abuse in the years following the moon landing.
We have to think in terms of the individual, and not just from a physical health standpoint, but from a mental health standpoint also.
There's a reason why NASA looks for a certain psychological profile in people who go into space. Our minds are simply not built to endure such extended periods of isolation. If you watch the Apollo 11 press conference, the astronauts give much more technical answers about what it was like to walk on the moon. However, there seems to be something more to their experiences that's under all of the procedural work and technical jargon.
The same trait that makes somebody willing to leave Earth for years and years, that shows a great deal of courage, but it also might show a big flaw or a big pain that needs to be reconciled.
Damien Chazelle's First Man explored the grief and isolation of Neil Armstrong, a man who is considered to be one of the great American heroes. Now, we don't know to what extent these feelings actually manifested themselves in astronauts, but filmmakers see it as a chance to tell a more human story. James Gray saw Ad Astra as an opportunity to tear down the idea of men hiding their emotions and only focusing on the job in front of them.
But in order to tear that down, you need to start somewhere. You need to start with the myth in order to destroy it, because you can't really get more archetypally American male than Brad.
Roy is someone who is celebrated for being tough. His low heart rate during missions and dedication to the job is something that's admired by his colleagues. However, he doesn't reveal anything that's on the inside.
I see myself from the outside. Smile, present a side. It's a performance, with my eye on the exit.
It's clear that his repressed emotions make him unable to connect with the people around him. We see his wife as a fading memory that's growing more and more distant. Roy feels the safest when he's focused on the mission, far from a place that's more grounded in humanity.
I will not rely on anyone or anything. I will not be vulnerable to mistakes.
Roy's environment won't let him be vulnerable. Any sign of weakness and he's sent to a comfort room. A high heart rate could mean he's unsuited for a mission. He's not even told that his father killed his crew to stop them from returning home, because they fear it will jeopardize the mission or tarnish the legacy of a renowned hero.
Major, your personal connection has made you unsuited for continued service on this mission.
Roy's struggle with depression stems from the abandonment of his father. James Gray, again, starts with a story that we already associate certain emotions with.
We decided, let's tell the Odyssey, but from Telemachus' point of view.
From the Odyssey to the Godfather, the story of the father and son is deep-rooted in our cultures. A father should be a role model to his son, and in return, a son should look up to his father. For his whole life, Roy has looked up to one of the most celebrated astronauts in history.
You should know I've chosen a career that you would approve of. I've dedicated my life to the exploration of space.
However, like the story of Odysseus, Roy's father left him and he can't reconcile with his feelings of loss and abandonment. The backdrop of space allows his inner struggles to become more pronounced as we travel outward. This also lets Roy reflect on his inner self, and by the end, he will learn that he does not have to be like his father. Roy sees things from a new perspective, and this idea of having a profound realization in space isn't something that's limited to cinema. In 1987, author Frank White interviewed astronauts about how going into space changed their perceptions of the world. Many of them recalled that their experiences resulted in long-term changes in their personal outlook towards Earth and humanity as a whole. He coined this the overview effect.
Instead of being an intellectual knowledge, it was a visceral experience, an overwhelmingly powerful visceral experience, and accompanied by a bliss and ecstasy. And I never had that type of experience before. And all of the astronauts that have been to the moon have had some similar type experience.
And I think it's pointing to something far greater, something incredibly profound. That human beings have the capacity to directly perceive this non-apparent reality of our radical interdependence, not just with each other, but with the living Earth, our mother, and the cosmos itself. And it starts to redefine what it means to be human at this time of awakening to our place in the universe, and how to relate to the world around us, and more importantly, how to relate to oneself.
If we look at Earth as a lonely speck in the vast darkness of the universe, it can be easy to feel that none of this matters. It's only when you zoom in and see a family, or a relationship, or the beauty that's found in the connection between people here on Earth, that things come into perspective.
He captured strange and distant worlds in greater detail than ever before. They were beautiful, magnificent, full of awe and wonder. But beneath their sublime surfaces, there was nothing. No love or hate, no light or dark. He could only see what was not there, and missed what was right in front of him.
The best way to tell a story about the relevance of the Earth, the relevance of our connection to each other, is, by contrast, a person totally alone as far away as you can conceivably go anyway in the remotely near future.
Through his journey into space, Roy discovers that he does not have to succumb to the darkness like his father did. He's able to sever the ties of his troubled past, because his father was not there for Roy when he needed him. He chose the mission over humanity, and it left him unable to reconnect with his son. But Roy has a chance to become his own man. He has something to live for. It's something that all of us have too, and we don't have to travel into space to grasp it.
You go all the way out to Neptune and you think you're going to find these amazing things, you're going to escape. The truth is, it's all right here. Human beings and our connection to the Earth is really what matters.
I will rely on those closest to me, and I will share their burdens as they share mine. I will live and love.
At the start of the film, we are told that Ad Astra means to the stars. But this comes from a longer Latin phrase which means through hardships to the stars, because Roy had a difficult path towards reconciling with his emotions. It was a path that led him to the stars, to the limits of both his mind and the cosmos, to a place that showed him how to fall back to Earth, not at odds with the darkness of his inner space, but with our planet's brightest star, illuminating a new future.
And yet, Buzz, it almost destroyed you.
Right? But I think I'm a better man for having experienced it.